The Discovery, the emergency beacon, crackled through Elena Rodriguez's radio at exactly 3:47 p.m., cutting through the monotonous hum of her garage's air conditioning. She wiped grease from her hands with a stained rag, her dark eyes scanning the Nevada desert visible through her shop's open bay doors. 20 years of fixing engines had taught her to listen carefully to distress calls, and this one sounded different. "This is Elena's Automotive. What's your situation?" She responded, already reaching for her keys. The voice that came back was strained, barely coherent through static. "Stranded, Red Canyon. Vehicle won't start, please help, Elena grabbed her mobile toolkit and climbed into her modified Ford pickup. The truck's engine roared to life, a testament to her skills as both a mechanic and former aerospace engineer. Before the NASA budget cuts 3 years ago, she had worked on cutting-edge propulsion systems. Now she fixed pickup trucks and farm equipment in the middle of nowhere. But the technical skills remained sharp. Red Canyon lay 15 miles northeast of her garage, a desolate stretch of weathered rock formations where tourists occasionally got stuck. The drive took 25 minutes, following increasingly rough dirt roads until civilization disappeared entirely behind her. The desert landscape stretched endlessly in all directions, painted in shades of orange and red by the afternoon sun. She found the stranded vehicle exactly where she expected it. A rental sedan with New York plates sitting at the canyon's entrance. But something felt wrong. The car appeared completely intact, no obvious mechanical problems, yet it sat silent and cold despite the desert heat. Elena parked nearby and approached cautiously. "Hello, anyone here?" she called out, her voice echoing. Off the canyon walls, no response came from the sedan. Elena checked inside, finding personal belongings scattered across the seats, but no occupants. The keys dangled from the ignition, and when she turned them, the engine started immediately. Her frown deepened. Why would someone call for help with a perfectly functional vehicle? A glint of reflected sunlight caught her attention deeper in the canyon. Elena squinted against the glare, making out what appeared to be wreckage about half a mile inside the narrow passage. Her engineering instincts kicked in as she grabbed a flashlight and water bottle from her truck. The canyon floor was treacherous, littered with loose stones and hidden crevices that could easily break an ankle. Elena picked her way carefully toward the mysterious reflection, her work boots finding purchase on the uneven terrain. As she drew closer, the object's true nature became apparent, and her breath caught in her throat. It wasn't wreckage. It was a craft unlike anything she had ever seen, even during her NASA days. The vessel's hull appeared to be constructed from a single piece of crystalline material that shifted colors as she moved around it. No visible seams, rivets, or joints connected its flowing surfaces. The design defied conventional engineering principles, seeming to exist in a state of controlled impossibility. The craft measured roughly 30 feet in length, embedded nose first into the canyon wall as if it had crashed at tremendous speed. Yet the impact damage appeared minimal, with only hairline fractures spiderwebbing across one section of the crystalline hull. Elena's trained eye noted burn marks along what might have been propulsion vents, suggesting catastrophic engine failure. "Incredible," she whispered, running her fingers along the smooth surface. The material felt warm to the touch, almost alive, and seemed to respond to her presence with subtle shifts in luminosity. A faint sound emerged from within the craft, barely audible. Above the desert wind, Elena pressed her ear to the hull, straining to identify the noise. It sounded almost like breathing, but irregular and labored. Someone or something was alive inside. Alina circled the vessel, searching for an entrance. On the craft's underside, she discovered a section where the crystalline material had been damaged, creating a gap just large enough for a person to squeeze through. She grabbed her flashlight and carefully worked her way inside. The interior defied physics, even more dramatically than the exterior. The space felt larger than the craft's external dimensions should have allowed, with corridors that seemed to curve in impossible directions. Soft blue light emanated from panels embedded in the walls, providing adequate illumination despite the absence of visible power sources. Following the sound of labored breathing, Alina made her way toward what appeared to be the vessel's central chamber. The sight that greeted her there challenged every assumption she had ever made about life in the universe. A figure lay motionless on what might have been a control surface, though unlike any cockpit Alina had encountered. The being appeared roughly humanoid in basic structure, but with distinct differences that marked it as utterly alien. Its skin possessed an opalescent quality similar to the ship's hull, shifting between silver and blue as light played across its surface. Delicate features suggested intelligence and refinement, while elongated limbs hinted at adaptation to different gravitational conditions. Most striking were the being's eyes, which opened as Alina approached. They were larger than human eyes, with irises that contained swirling patterns like miniature galaxies. Despite their alien nature, Alina recognized pain and desperation in that gaze. "Please," the being spoke, its voice somehow transmitted directly into Elena's mind, rather than through audible sound. "I require assistance." Elena's heart raced, but her engineering background helped her process the impossible situation logically. "You're hurt. What can I do to help?" The alien's mental voice carried gratitude mixed with urgency. "My name is Zara. I am a pilot of the consortium, fleeing from the devourers who consume worlds. My ship's quantum core is damaged. Without repair, I will die, and crucial information will perish with me." Alina knelt beside the injured pilot, her medical training from aerospace safety courses kicking in. "I'm Alina. I'm an engineer. Tell me about your injuries and what needs fixing." Zara's form shimmered as she struggled to maintain consciousness. "The quantum resonance chamber has been severed from the consciousness interface your species possesses. A unique neural adaptability that might allow temporary bridging of the connection. Without this repair, my life force will dissipate within hours." "I don't understand quantum mechanics at that level," Alina admitted, though her mind was already working on the problem. "But I understand systems integration. Show me what needs to be connected." With tremendous effort, Zara gestured toward a panel that dissolved at her touch, revealing the ship's internal mechanisms. Elena's trained eye immediately identified the problem. 2 crystalline conduits had been severed, their connection points glowing with residual energy. It resembled a sophisticated circuit board, though constructed from materials that seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously. "The consciousness bridge requires direct neural interface," Zara explained weakly. "Your species' brains possess quantum coherent structures that developed during your evolution. This makes humans uniquely compatible with our technology, though we never expected to encounter you here." Alina studied the damaged connections, her engineering instincts overriding her fear. "If I understand correctly, you need me to act as a living circuit breaker, bridging these connections with my nervous system." "The process carries risks," Zara admitted. "Your neural patterns may be permanently altered, but without intervention, Both our species face extinction when the devourers arrive. The weight of the decision pressed down on Alina like desert heat. Everything she thought she knew about the universe had just been shattered, replaced by cosmic threats and impossible technologies. Yet the engineer in her recognized a problem that needed solving, and the human in her couldn't abandon someone who needed help. "Tell me exactly what to do," Alina said, rolling up her sleeves. Zara's eyes brightened with hope and concern. "Place your hands on the connection points. I will guide the quantum resonance through your neural pathways. You may experience disorientation as your consciousness briefly merges with the ship's systems." Alina positioned herself as instructed, her palms hovering over the glowing conduits. "Will this hurt?" "I do not know how your species processes quantum consciousness interfacing," Zara replied honestly. "But Alina Rodriguez, you are about to become the first human to directly interface with technology that predates your solar system by millions of years." Taking a deep breath, Alina pressed her hands to the connection points. Immediately, the world exploded into sensation beyond anything she had ever experienced. Her consciousness expanded, flowing through pathways of pure energy that connected every system within the crystalline ship. She felt the vessel's life force, its quantum heartbeat, the intricate dance of subatomic particles that kept it functioning. For a terrifying moment, Alina lost all sense of individual identity. She became the ship, feeling its damage like physical wounds, understanding its purpose through memories that weren't her own. Images flooded her mind, vast fleets of geometric vessels, worlds consumed by writhing darkness, desperate evacuations across impossible distances. Then Zara's presence anchored her, guiding her consciousness back to her own body while maintaining the connection. Alina found herself acting as a living conduit, channeling energy between the severed systems through her nervous system. The sensation was indescribable, like becoming lightning while remaining human. "It's working," Zara's voice carried overwhelming relief. "The quantum core is stabilizing. Alina, you have saved not just my life, but possibly your entire species." As the connection stabilized, Alina gradually withdrew her hands from the conduits. The interface had left her changed in ways she couldn't yet comprehend, but she remained fundamentally herself. The ship around her hummed with renewed vitality, its lights brightening as systems came back online. Zara sat up slowly, her opalescent skin now glowing with health. "I am in your debt, Alina Rodriguez, and now I must share with you knowledge that will alter humanity's destiny." Alina sat back on her heels, still processing what had just occurred. "The devourers you mentioned, what are they?" "An ancient hunger that consumes entire civilizations," Zara explained, her mental voice carrying centuries of sorrow. "They strip worlds of all consciousness, leaving behind empty husks. My people, the Zephyrians, have fought them for millennia. We developed technologies to preserve consciousness itself, to ensure that knowledge and awareness could survive even total physical destruction, and they're coming here. They follow quantum consciousness signatures across the galaxy. Earth's rapidly developing technology has created a beacon they cannot ignore. Your species faces the same fate as hundreds of others unless you can defend yourselves." Elena's mind reeled with the implications. "But we don't have weapons that could fight something like that. We can barely get rockets into orbit reliably." Zara's expression conveyed something that might have been a smile. "Your species possesses something far more valuable than weapons, Alina. You have adaptability. In a few minutes, you accomplished what should have taken years of training. Human consciousness operates on quantum principles that we thought were impossible. What does that mean for us? It means humanity could become the bridge between biological and quantum consciousness that the galaxy has needed for millions of years. With proper guidance, your species could develop technologies that would make the Devourers irrelevant. Alina stood slowly, her legs shaky from the interface experience. How long do we have? Perhaps 2 of your years before they detect Earth's quantum signature strongly enough to locate it precisely, Zara replied. But Alina, the process must begin immediately, and it must begin with you. The weight of Zara's words settled over Alina like a physical force. 2 years to prepare humanity for a threat beyond imagination, starting with a small-town mechanic in the Nevada desert. The absurdity of the situation might have made her laugh, if not for the absolute certainty in the alien pilot's mental voice. Why me? Elena asked, settling cross-legged on the crystalline floor. I'm just one person. There are scientists, military leaders, people with real influence. Zara's form shimmered as she adjusted her position, now appearing more solid and vibrant following the system repair. Your governmental and scientific institutions would spend months debating the reality of our existence, then years arguing over appropriate responses. The Devourers do not allow such luxury of time. Besides, Zara continued, you have already proven your capability. The quantum consciousness bridge you just performed successfully would kill most beings from other species. Your neural pathways adapted in real time to accommodate technology that took my people centuries to develop. Alina flexed her fingers, still feeling residual energy from the interface experience. I feel different, like I can sense things that weren't there before. The quantum bridging process has activated dormant neural structures in your brain, Zara explained. Humans evolved these capabilities naturally, though your species hasn't recognized their existence. You now possess limited quantum consciousness awareness. As if to demonstrate, Alina found she could sense the ship's various systems without touching them. The propulsion core hummed with contained energy, environmental systems maintained perfect. Atmospheric balance and communication arrays reached out across impossible distances seeking signals from Zara's people. This is incredible, Alina whispered, then frowned. But how do I convince anyone else? If I walk into the Pentagon and claim I've been talking to aliens, they'll lock me up. Direct demonstration will be necessary, Zara agreed. But first, you must understand the full scope of what we face. The alien pilot gestured toward the central console, which responded by projecting a 3-dimensional star map that filled the chamber. Alina gasped as she recognized the Milky Way galaxy, though viewed from a perspective no human had ever seen. Countless points of light marked inhabited worlds, while vast dark regions showed the paths of destruction left by the Devourers. Each darkened system represents a civilization consumed, Zara explained, her mental voice heavy with loss. Billions of conscious beings reduced to quantum echoes. The Devourers leave nothing behind but empty worlds, stripped of all awareness. Studied the holographic display, noting the pattern of destruction moving steadily toward their local stellar region. They're getting closer to Earth. Your solar system lies directly in their projected path. Based on current consumption rates, they will reach this region within 2 standard cycles. 2 years, Alina translated, her stomach tightening. What happens when they arrive? They begin by analyzing a world's consciousness patterns, identifying the most advanced forms of awareness. These become their primary targets, consumed first to eliminate organized resistance. After the initial harvest, they systematically drain all remaining conscious energy until nothing remains but an empty shell. The horrific scale of genocide depicted in the star map made Alina feel physically ill. Entire civilizations, some possibly millions of years old, simply erased from existence. How have you been fighting them? Through consciousness preservation. Technology, Zara replied, manipulating the display to show various defensive strategies. We developed methods to encode awareness itself into quantum matrices, allowing consciousness to survive even physical destruction. But preservation is not victory. We have been retreating for millennia. Until now, Alina said slowly, beginning to understand. You think humans might be different. Your species possesses unprecedented neuroplasticity. Most civilizations develop consciousness along predictable patterns, making them vulnerable to specific devourer harvesting techniques. Humans appear to have evolved multiple parallel consciousness structures. Zara paused, studying Alina with those galaxy eyes. The interface you just performed should have been impossible for an untrained mind. Yet you not only survived, but adapted in real time to technologies that took my people centuries to master. Alina absorbed this information, her engineering background helping her process the implications. So you're saying humans might be naturally immune to whatever method the devourers use to consume consciousness. Not immune, but potentially resistant enough to develop effective countermeasures. However, your species' greatest strength may also be its greatest vulnerability. What do you mean? Human consciousness operates through quantum entanglement, networks that extend far beyond individual brains. Your emotions, thoughts, and awareness connect across vast distances through mechanisms your science doesn't yet recognize. This connectivity could allow for unprecedented cooperation against the devourers. Zara's expression grew troubled, but it also means that if the devourers successfully adapt to human consciousness patterns, they could consume your entire species simultaneously through those same quantum networks. The implications hit Alina like a physical blow, all or nothing. We either find a way to resist them completely, or we all die together. Precisely, this is why preparation must begin immediately, and why it must begin with you. You now carry quantum consciousness awareness that can be transmitted to others through direct neural contact. Alina stood and began pacing the chamber, her mind working through possibilities, like a consciousness virus, but beneficial instead of harmful. I could potentially activate these dormant neural structures in other humans. The process requires careful calibration, Zara warned. Improper quantum consciousness bridging could cause permanent neural damage or death. You must learn to control and direct the process before attempting it with others. How long would it take to train me properly? Under normal circumstances, several of your years, but we do not have such time available. I can accelerate your learning through direct consciousness transfer, sharing knowledge accumulated over centuries. Alina stopped pacing and faced the alien pilot. More neural interfacing. What are the risks this time? Severe, Zara replied honestly. Direct consciousness transfer has never been attempted between our species. Your mind could be overwhelmed by the volume of information, or the cultural differences could create irreconcilable conflicts between your human identity and Zephyrian knowledge. And if we don't try it, humanity faces extinction with no understanding of what threatens them. Alina took a deep breath, steadying herself for another leap into the impossible. Let's do it. This time, the interface process was more controlled. Zara guided Alina through meditation techniques that prepared her mind for the consciousness transfer. When the connection was established, instead of the overwhelming rush of the repair process, Alina experienced a gradual expansion of awareness. Knowledge flowed into her mind in carefully structured streams. She learned about quantum consciousness theory, understanding how awareness itself could be manipulated and preserved. Technologies that had seemed like magic became comprehensible through frameworks that bridged human and Zephyrian scientific understanding. Most importantly, she gained knowledge of the devourers themselves. They were not simply predators, but something far more disturbing, the remnants of a civilization that had chosen to consume others rather than face their own extinction. They had become creatures of pure hunger, spreading across the galaxy like a conscious plague. The transfer lasted several hours, though Elena's enhanced consciousness made it seem both instantaneous and eternal. When the connection finally ended, she possessed knowledge that would have taken decades to accumulate through conventional learning. "How do you feel?" Zara asked, concern evident in her mental voice. Alina took inventory of her transformed awareness. "Different, but still me. I can sense quantum fields around us, understand the mathematical principles behind your technology. It's like someone gave me a new set of senses." "The integration appears successful," Zara observed with relief. "You now possess knowledge equivalent to a Zephyrian quantum consciousness specialist. More importantly, you understand how to safely activate similar capabilities in other humans." A distant rumbling sound reached them through the ship's hull, growing rapidly louder. Elena's enhanced senses immediately identified the signatures: military aircraft approaching at high speed. "They've found us," Alina said, her stomach dropping. "Government forces." Zara's form shimmered as she accessed the ship's sensor systems. Multiple aircraft, ground vehicles, and what appears to be a significant military presence. They have surrounded the canyon. Elena's mind raced through possibilities. "They must have detected the energy signatures when we repaired your ship. Can we leave? Does the ship have enough power?" "The quantum core is functional, but not at full capacity," Zara replied. "We could escape Earth's gravity well, but doing so would eliminate any possibility of helping your species prepare for the devour." The sound of helicopter rotors grew deafening as aircraft settled into positions around the canyon. Alina could hear ground vehicles approaching along the access roads, their engines echoing off the canyon walls. "This is Colonel Sarah Mitchell, United States Air Force," a amplified voice called out. "The area is now under military control. All personnel are to exit the canyon immediately with hands visible." Alina looked at Zara, then at the ship's control systems she now understood intimately. "I need to talk to them. Convince them we're not a threat." Military organizations typically respond to unknown technologies with containment protocols, Zara warned. "They may separate us, prevent communication." "Then we need to give them a reason to listen," Alina replied, moving toward the ship's communication system. "Can this vessel broadcast on human radio frequencies?" "With modifications, yes. But what do you intend to say?" Elena's enhanced consciousness suddenly perceived a solution that bridged her human understanding with Zephyrian technology. "I'm going to offer them something they can't refuse. Proof that cooperation serves their interests better than containment." She began working with the ship's systems, her new knowledge allowing her to adapt alien technology for human communication protocols. Within minutes, she had established a direct radio link to the military forces surrounding them. "Colonel Mitchell, this is Alina Rodriguez," she broadcast, her voice carrying clearly to all the aircraft and ground units. I'm a United States citizen and former NASA contractor. I'm currently aboard an extraterrestrial vessel with its pilot, who has information critical to national security. Static filled the channel before Mitchell's voice responded. Ms. Rodriguez, you are to exit that craft immediately and submit to military custody. Colonel, I understand your concerns, but I need 5 minutes to demonstrate why cooperation is more valuable than containment. What I'm about to show you will change how you think about humanity's place in the universe. Alina looked at Zara, who nodded understanding. Together, they activated the ship's external projection system. The crystalline hull became transparent, revealing its interior to the military forces surrounding the canyon. More dramatically, quantum consciousness fields became visible as shimmering aurora-like displays that painted the desert in impossible colors. What you're seeing is quantum consciousness made visible, Alina continued broadcasting. This technology doesn't just represent advanced engineering. It represents humanity's evolutionary destiny and our only hope of survival against a threat that's already consumed hundreds of civilizations. She paused, letting that sink in before continuing. Colonel Mitchell, I can prove everything I'm saying, but only if you're willing to approach this as a potential alliance rather than a containment situation. The radio remained silent for long moments. When Mitchell's voice returned, it carried a different tone, professional curiosity replacing military suspicion. Ms. Rodriguez, you have my attention. What exactly are you proposing? Alina smiled, feeling the quantum consciousness awareness. Expand her perception to include the minds of everyone in the surrounding military force. She could sense their fear, curiosity, and growing recognition that they faced something unprecedented. I'm proposing that humanity takes its next evolutionary step, Colonel, and I'm offering to guide us through it. The future hung in balance. As Alina prepared to bridge the gap between human and alien civilizations, knowing that the next few hours would determine whether her species faced extinction or transformation,